Hey, it's Soul with another video. These right here are the fine folks that help make it happen, and let's get started. Last week, we reported on Blizzard's fairly blunt message to the fans who were expecting to learn a little bit more of the big story reveals that are coming in patch 8.2.5. The revolution will not be data mined, says Jeremy Fiesel, a developer who said this over on Twitter. And that about wraps it up. I guess we're not going to learn anything new whatsoever until day one of the patch, so pack it up, folks. Let's get at it. I'm just kidding. Of course there's going to be stuff that we can learn. Let me make it super clear, that's like 3 supers, that this is all just speculation based off of some very limited information off the PTR. But this could be potentially very big news. Someone might die in 8.2.5, and it might not be someone who you entirely expect. This is based off the addition of certain sound files in one of the recent PTR builds that refers to a certain character, none other than Eitrig, one of the Horde's most senior advisors. Now for a crash course, who is Eitrig? He's super old school Horde, so he advised the likes of Thrall, Garrosh, Vol'jin, and Sylvanas. He was a fellow champion of the warrior class Order Hall. He's badass. Anyway, the Eitrig sound files themselves, they're encrypted, so we can't listen to what these sounds are. But we do have file names for these sounds, including being wounded, critically hit, and of course, dying. When looking at the files of these death sounds and comparing them to other death sounds that you hear in WoW, they're about in line with any other typical death sound like "ugh" or "oh, my face." You know, they're just really short. So far, it doesn't seem like Eitrig's death is going to include some big monologue, but who knows, there could also be some additional sound files added later. It could be followed up by a video or, anything like that. Normally, files like these, they're not such of a big deal at all. Tons of NPCs have a full suite of combat sounds, including critical hits and death, all to add to the immersion. And these characters don't end up dying at all. Think of the faction leaders. Whenever you are going to do for the Horde or for the Alliance achievements, they have death sounds, but they come right on back. That's why adding these sounds in now is a little bit weird, because Alliance players are familiar with Eitrig's attack sounds in the Battle for Stromgarde Warfront. What's a little curious is that up until now, Eitrig didn't have any unique combat sounds of his own. Apparently he's been using like a generic orc sounds. I did some additional research, and I wanted to add that among the Warfront commanders, Eitrig isn't the only one that has been kind of left out. Rokhan also doesn't seem to have a full allotment of sound files related to combat. And yet, at least so far in this PTR, it's only Eitrig and not Rokhan that's getting sounds updated. And it has been like a year since the Battle for Stromgarde was introduced. This is pretty suspicious. We can suspect a couple things, like, I mean, for one, this could be Blizzard dolling up Eitrig a little bit more because he's going to be given more prominence in this patch and possibly going forward. So there could be a chance that he won't die. In fact, he's going to rise to even greater prominence. Maybe he'll become the next orc racial leader, or the next war chief. If that's the case, we might soon see additional files for updated greetings, goodbyes, being angry and that sort, because we haven't seen any update on that since 7.2. That may or may not happen, but what I'm pretty certain of is that he is going to fight in this upcoming patch. Let me speculate a couple of examples. Maybe in 8.2.5 there's going to be some big scenario where everyone's fighting, including Eitrig, so he might just be another NPC fighting in a large scenario, like the Battle for Lordaeron. Or there could be 2 versions of how 8.2.5 plays out, similar to the Battle for Lordaeron, where maybe the Alliance will fight and defeat Eitrig, only this time it's not going to be in a warfront where the result isn't exactly canonized, but this time it's a final defeat and a subsequent death. If so, it would make sense for the Horde to kill some sort of equivalent Alliance NPC like Matthias Shaw. In a different scenario, where maybe the Horde and Alliance are fighting in like a unified scenario, perhaps Eitrig will die at some point during the battle, either trying to fight Sylvanas or even defending her. Like, let's say he does a Nazgrim once again and decides to follow his duty and serve as war chief. Like, it would be a really cringy repeat of the Siege of Orgrimmar, but you never know. From this though, we gotta ask ourselves, would there be actual implications or meaningful reactions to Eitrig's death? And in my opinion, oh yeah, Eitrig is old school. He goes back to the very beginning of WoW. Historically, even before that, he was the one who fought against Tyrion Fordring in a series of events that got Tyrion expelled from the Knights of the Silver Hand. So people know him. Eitrig's death would at the very least cause a really big shakeup within the orc leadership, because there are several prominent orcs that are still around, but not many who are as level-headed as Eitrig. So if Thrall, let's say, if he were to somehow survive this war, maybe he'll take Eitrig's place as an advisor, since he clearly doesn't seem to be interested in being war chief again. Alliance players may not be very familiar with him, but Horde players have seen him stand at the war chief's side time and time again, so maybe this will be the last stand that he makes. But whatever the case, I hope that he comes out of this story looking like a total badass. So what do you think, folks? Does this evidence point to a possible end for this orc veteran, or a new beginning? Or is this all a bunch of BS? Leave your thoughts and reactions in a comment below. Of course, like and subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.